أشهد أن لا إله إلا الله وأشهد أن محمدا عبده ورسوله.
أعوذ بالله السميع العليم من الشيطان الرجيم.
بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. اللهم صل على محمد وآل محمد.
It's very, very powerful stuff. And it's been reduced to we got a very shallow version of this incredibly sophisticated text. It has been held widely that you can only appreciate the beauty, the amazing perfection of the Qur'an in what language? In Arabic. But you know, Allah Azza wa Jal revealed this Qur'an as a miracle, not just a miracle for one group of people. This is a miracle for who? Humanity, everybody. Everybody. So even though we will never taste the Qur'an like the Arab at the time of the Messenger sallallahu alaihi wasallam, we're never going to be able to get there because we can't reverse time. We can still make attempts to display the beauty of the Qur'an in every language, including English. We have to at least try. We have to try. Because it is a right of the people to know how beautiful this book is. We can't just say, oh, it's so awesome in Arabic, I can't even tell you in English, forget it. You can't do that. That's not fair. You know, and this is, by the way, this is something you hear in khutbah all the time. Oh, this word in Arabic is so beautiful, English, and you're like, what? Tell me something at least. So the Qur'an it has this perfected eloquence to the point where you have spoken Arabic, then what? Proper Arabic, then what? Ancient Arabic, which one is the most sophisticated? And then you have Quranic Arabic. That's number 4. Spoken Arabic, proper Arabic, ancient Arabic, and then a category in and of itself. Quranic Arabic like nothing else. Like nothing else. There's no poetry like it, there's no other literature like it. There's no literature in any language like the Qur'an. Nothing. There is not a book, not a chapter, not a line. You can't compare it to anything else. You can't. And first we'll talk about this from a very simplistic point of view, then we'll take some examples, okay? The Qur'an is made up of how many surahs? 114 surahs. Now, what is the common translation of surah? What is surah translated into? Chapter, right? Surah is translated into chapter. Now you tell me. Chapter 1, chapter 2, chapter 3, chapter 4. Is chapter 4 based on chapters 1, 2, and 3? No, in every other book it is. In every other book, you don't repeat in chapter 4 what you already discussed in what? Chapters 1, 2, and 3. 4 is based on the first 3. There's no repetition. There's some sort of logical sequence that you can decipher. The Qur'an, does it repeat itself across its quote-unquote chapters? So they're not really chapters. It's not really a chapter. What we call a chapter is something else. This is something else. A storybook has chapters too. But what happens? The chronology moves forward. Also, the Qur'an, you can't even divide it, you can't even call it Unit 1, Unit 2, Unit 3. You can't even do that. You know why? Because the Qur'an defies human logic. Are the Madani surahs or Meccan surahs first and then the Madani surahs? No, it's all mixed together. Is the shortest surah first and then the longest surah last? Or is the longest surah first and shortest surah last? No. It's not going by size order. It's not going by subject order. It's not going by chronological order. It has its own unique order, unlike what? Every other book. There's nothing like it. It is uncomparable, even in its structure. Now the problem with human beings is when they get used to a structure, chronological order, numerical order, size order, these are all orders, right? Subject order. When they find none of these, you know what the accusation is against the Qur'an? Yeah, there is no order. The accusation against the Qur'an is, hey, we didn't find chronological order, we didn't find subject order, we didn't find, size order, so that must mean there is no order, it's chaos. Allah challenged them to look into the Qur'an. Allah challenged them, didn't He? And when they're critiquing the Qur'an, aren't they doing what Allah had asked them to do? They are. So when they are making criticisms of the Qur'an, they are actually fulfilling the destiny of the Qur'an. And we are in a position, we are in an obligatory position to respond. Jazakallah. We're in a position to respond. Our response isn't, we believe, forget them. No. We believe with eyes open. We respond to criticisms. We have answers. When you have no answer, you say, go away, you're a disbeliever. But we're not a religion of no answers. We are in an intellectual civilization. We have answers. We have answers. So now, the first thing was about the structure of the Qur'an. The second thing is the word ayah. So there's surah. We said we can't really do anything with surah. Can't really call it chapter. It's a proprietary term, a unique term, its own file format, right? Not compatible with anything else. What's the other thing? Ayah. What's ayah translated as? Ayah is translated as verse. Now the word verse, think of it in English. Where does the word verse get used? Don't think of it religion. Don't think of Islam. Think of the word verse in English. What is the thing that comes to mind when you hear verse? Poetry. Song, verses of a song, verses in lyrics, verses of poetry, right? If not song and poetry, where does verse come up in English discussion? The Bible. The second connotation of verse is biblical. So either you're thinking of poetry and song, or you're thinking of the Bible. Now interestingly enough, the Qur'an is very adamant in letting us know, وَمَا عَلَّمْنَاهُ what? الشِّعْرِ وَمَا هُوَ بِقَوْلِ شَاعِرٍ. This is not the word of a poet. This is not poetry. We didn't teach him poetry at all. The last thing you should be thinking about when you hear Qur'an is what? Poetry. Any comparison to it. And the last thing you should be thinking is that this is plagiarized from where? The Bible. But the two things that come to mind when you hear verse, even subconsciously, maybe it doesn't come to your mind, but the average English speaker, does it come to their mind? Sure. And if we're doing da'wah, we have to be clear of what words we use, what connotations, what messages we send. So there's a problem. The word ayah it's unique. Nothing else has ayat. Nothing else has ayat. Nothing else has surah. The Qur'an has surah, and it has ayat. Unique forms. Can't even call them sentences. Can you think of an ayah that's just one word? Ar-Rahman. Ar-Rahman, one word. I can think of 3 ayat that go together to make one sentence. Alhamdulillahi Rabbil Alameen Ar-Rahman Ar-Rahim Maliki Yawmiddin. 3 ayat, but grammatically, one sentence. The previous was 1 ayah, which is 1 word. Now there are 3 ayat, but how many sentences? 1 sentence. And then there are entire passages of inheritance law, or of giving loans, like the entire page in Baqarah. Right? On giving loans. Entire paragraph, but how many ayat? 1 ayah. You can't confine it to any literary form, except one term. There's only one term you can use for the ayah. Ayah. There's nothing else. Nothing else fits. Nothing else can describe it. So Allah gave us this unique literature, which is uncomparable to any other literature. In the little bit of time that we have left, I want to share with you what makes the Qur'an so incredible. We just talked about what makes the Qur'an unique, but not what makes it incredible.
يا أرحم الراحمين وصل اللهم على محمد وآله الطاهرين